Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to this WISE webinar. We are joined by our lovely friend, Ymca, the Chief Communications and Marketing Officer of KISD. I bet you know her face. It's all over the place. So Taina, hi.
Hello. Thanks for having us, and I appreciate you helping us get the message and share information about our new change date for in-person learning starting on Monday, August 31st.
I am so excited to dive into all of the information. I bet it's been information overload for lots of parents and lots of teachers. So I'm excited that we can help with that. Just a couple of quick housekeeping things. If you have any questions and there is time, Taina is more than willing to answer some of them on air with us today. To submit those questions, drop them in the comments and we will get them to her throughout the stream. Any relevant information, websites, contact information will also appear in the comments below as well. But without further ado, so let's talk about this. So face-to-face, it's happening.
It is. It's happening on Monday, and the real reason is because a district our size, Killeen ISD, 46,000 students strong, and when we launched our virtual learning on August 17th, that first week we had a total of about 40,000 engaged learners who had logged in and completed an action in their class. But we were still missing those key 6,000, 3,500 to 6,000 students that had not logged in yet. And so when we realized we're not providing instruction to those students, or really any students, that becomes an issue. And TEA has told all school districts in Texas that you must be able to provide in-person instruction if you can't provide technology and Wi-Fi accessibility to all your students to be virtual learners. And, we knew that we were going to be close on devices. Of course, we had a huge, I would say, calling for devices when we said, do you need a device? We had some mixed numbers in the very beginning. And then when we really said we're going virtual, it seemed it was just overwhelming, the number of requests that we received. So we gave out over 20,000 devices, whether those were iPads or laptops. It was a huge effort across the entire district to work and try to make sure that families, at least we had one per family, if not one per student in some situations, but we just weren't meeting the needs and we weren't being in compliance. And we knew that there were a bunch of students we were missing. And we can't have that. We knew that that was not going to be acceptable, not for us, not for our community, and not for TEA. So the decision was shared with the public on Tuesday night that we're opening early. That's Monday. And I know some of our educators and campuses kind of went into like, oh, what do we do? But I've talked to several campuses, visited them, and it seems like they are ready and rocking. And I've got one campus doing these huge, beautiful chalk drawings, Clifton Park Elementary, on the sidewalks, and, kinder, first grade, there's color coding systems. And I think our teachers are ready to have those kiddos back in their classes if the parents choose. And that is the number one thing, Jasmine, I hope our parents know, is that there is a choice, and there will always be a choice for your student this year in Killeen ISD, whether they are virtual or in-person learners.
Yeah, and I love that about all of the overarching theme of this year is that there is a choice. If you want to come in person or if you want to go virtual, there are those options, and that's actually a great transition. So what happens if people go in person and then decide to go virtual, or if they're virtual and decide to go in person later on?
So the one big thing that happens when a kid or a student decides to come in person is the mask. This is the number one thing that our kiddos will be needing to have on. All children need to be wearing a mask. So the governor's order stated it was for children above age 10, but KISD has gone one step further, and we said all of our kids need to have a mask on if the parents choose for them to come in person. Now, a mask or a face covering are a face shield are acceptable. So a form of a face covering that's within our student guidelines and dress code policy is what we're looking for all of our students to be having. And that's the one thing you'll see visibly as soon as you get to a campus is everyone is masked up. From there are other requirements for our COVID-19 mitigation. It's, hand washing, sanitizer, all kinds of items that we have stacked throughout the halls, throughout our different classrooms. Teacher zones. So kids will notice that there will be some tape around a special area on the floor next to either the teacher's table or where she may be doing something with the projector on her computer. These are teacher safe zones. So we made those zones, those 8-foot zones, so that our teachers, if they needed to take their mask off to talk and show, because this is, of course, learning in those primary ages. So a lot of our teachers will have face shields. That way children can still see them. But if they need to do something, then that's a teacher safe zone, because we know that being able to see the reactions or talk to our students is really important. Our teachers, though, for the most part, are all masked up. They realize the importance of having a mask or a face covering. Some of them have the shield and a mask on, and that is going to be really what is going to help us mitigate the spread of COVID-19. That's huge. And I think so I've got a collection of masks. I don't know about you, but I think I'm up to like 25 now that I've got.
Yeah, I have quite a few. I mean, it's the time as an adult that we can wear like Disney princess patterns, and it's acceptable.
Or Cowboys fans. I'm seeing with Friday Night Football coming back tonight for high schools, 1A through 4A. That's a big thing. You're seeing a lot of the school spirit come through in a mask. So face coverings will be really big. Also making sure those transition times. So they may have a longer grace period to get to one place to another, or they notice that they're just slightly off the bell schedule. Every campus, though, is unique. So there are protocols for first day and arrival and dismissal all posted on every campus website. And that is so that parents can go specifically and get that one plan. And if they have multiple children, they can see how that works or that looks at campuses. But we've laid out the ground rules and we've really honed those in. We have a public health guide online that has all of the information. Everything from what happens. And we've been this week pushing what we call our KISD Safe campaign and just initiative, so that we're posting throughout the day. What happens if a student or staff member gets COVID-19? What is the daily screening that my child needs to go through to be able to come on campuses? Who do I talk to if I have questions about COVID-19? What's the nurse's name on my campus? So we've been pushing out all of this information because we want there to be a resource for parents, because it's a big decision when your student comes back onto campus for instruction, and we want them to feel like they have been just overwhelmed with information. And if there's a question, we're really trying hard to answer those questions. So that's for in-person learners, so if they choose to come back. But for our virtual learners and for parents who want to have their students continue virtually, they will probably see right now, especially today, there's no Zooming because our teachers are preparing for in-person learning. But Monday, they're going to notice that their Zooms start to fall off just a little bit. And we've made that okay across all of our teachers and told them it's okay if you don't Zoom immediately. You can take that break, because it's important for our in-person learners to be properly trained on all of the COVID procedures. So we are telling our at-home virtual learners, you might see that break in those Zoom calls. That's because we're working to really teach these students our mitigation protocols. Then we've got to balance both platforms, in-person and virtual. And then we've got to find a way to make sure that they can blend together. So they are noticing that those Zoom calls are falling off. That is while we really learn and kind of get adapted to our new environment of having dual. And we hope that our teachers, and if they're able to provide the Zooms right now together with their classes, that's great. Some classes might only have 4 kids in person. It may be very easy for that teacher to hop back on and offer synchronous instruction. Others might have 14 or 15. So it depends on the grade level, and we've left it to those teachers' discretions, but we know that the Zooms will come back. It's just wanting to give some grace to those teachers, because they've got a lot happening right now right in front of them with those students and all the practices we're asking them to put into place.
And what rock stars KISD teachers are. I mean, I have some friends that are teachers, and they are so thrilled that their students are coming back, and how quickly they're turning around their rooms and how excited that they're getting them themed up, and it's adorable.
I've walked through the hallways and just taking in, I've tried to express it, but you almost like get choked up a little bit because you see what's happening. So words are not even, the beginning to describing the feeling and the emotion, just the energy. When you walk into a campus, it is energetic. Even seeing it on some of the Facebook videos campuses are posting, they're all, smiling. They are ready to go. They are sharing, like, here's what we do. And it's so cool. We had a teacher go viral this week for what she does for virtual learners, which was really cool. She dressed up in a shark costume and did greater than, less than lesson to baby shark, and it's at over 16 million views. So shout out to her and Skipjaw Elementary. They are rocking it, and as all of our teachers. But they are the hardest working group of people. Our school nutrition staff and our custodial staff right now, they have been there from the very beginning in March, and they've never stopped. Our teachers, the energy that they're bringing to the table, though, I think we might have like a fun competition between all of our groups to really see how they can really empower one another, because they've got a lot of energy, and I'm excited. I am giddy. This morning driving to work, I was thinking, I'm giddy, ready for Monday. And I know it's going to probably have some of those hiccups, and it might not all be perfect. But I think just the idea of having our students back in our classes and learning in person for those that want to come back, we are ready to provide that to them.
Yeah, and I bet the kids are just so exciting because school is so fun, and you guys are doing a great job at kind of figuring it out as you go. Because right now, the world is just so unpredictable. So yeah, it's getting there. We have a question. So it says, so kids can wear a shield or a mask. So
yes, they can.
Either or?
Either or, they can wear both. They have the option, though, to wear shields if they want. I've seen some shields that are like a pair of glasses can wear, so that's easy. Some parents are worried that it's just going to, end up falling down all day, or it'll end up like this. We've kind of seen them falling right underneath the chin when the kid goes to speak. So I think it's fun to see that they become glasses. They clip on to hats for sports and athletics, and so there's a variety of ways. But yeah, shields are acceptable.
Awesome. I mean, it just depends on your fashion choice, right?
It does. They change daily too.
Yeah, I love it. So what is face masks' relationship to social distancing? So like if a kid goes into a classroom and they're spaced 6 feet apart, do they get to take the mask off or the shield? Does it stay on all day?
So we want our students to wear the face coverings throughout the entire day. Now, we know that there may be a class with just 4 students in it, maybe just 2 students. And if we can spread them apart enough and they're not a transitioning group of students, so like secondary, they may be able to, and that would be at the discretion of that specific campus. But we have a lot of movement within our classes. So even when social distancing is maintained for students, for the most part, those face coverings do need to be on. That is because if they're moving throughout, they may be, if they take off that face covering and they touch the table and another student was there, and, we've picked up so many different things right now that it's important, because kids often touch their face. I'm guilty of it, touching my face, everyone. And so to make it to the greatest extent and to be as safe as we possibly can, those face coverings really need to stay on all day. There are certain times when they'll come off, of course, but those are eating, actually sitting down at the cafeteria to eat, not in line. They'll still be on in line. When they're outside of PE, outside running around, then they can come off. But on the playground equipment, for example, we opened up our playground equipment, but we want that to still be with a face covering. And that's because our kids are touching all of those surfaces, and we want to make sure that when they come back in, they sanitize and wash their hands. And then we can, keep on. So some people have said, why do they have to be on playground equipment? And that's really the main reason why, for safety of them and for the kids around them.
Yeah, and that makes total sense. And if you have cool, like Ninja Turtle ones, you're going to want to.
Oh, yes. Or I've seen some that are blinged out. I've seen a lot of varieties. So
I love it.
I think that's going to be fun, and it'll be the new statement for children.
Absolutely. And so you announced this morning that there is a new grace period for in person. So can you elaborate on that?
I would love to, because I think that this, being a parent myself, is such an incredible move by the district. We know that there are parents who right now are on the fence on if their student will go back in person or not. And they may be waiting to see what it really looks like on the first day or even the first week. It is a short week, so it's only Monday through Thursday, because we have that Friday off. But we've created a grace period to allow our parents to have their child join us in person. We'll welcome all of our children in person on the 31st. But if there's some, hesitation and you want to see maybe trying out Wednesday and Thursday only, all students will be able to come to our buildings from the 31st until the 8th. So that's Tuesday the 8th, which was our original in-person date. And then starting the 9th, we will ask that they start filling out the learning environment change request form. And I'll make sure that you guys get that link and you can share it. It's on our main website, but it's important for us to know how students plan to engage in their learning, whether that is the number of tests we have to do, licenses we need for different software. We need to know at some point, what we need to order. We know it's going to change. So it's, the parents' ability to change is also beautiful with our plan and adapt. But if your student will be an in-person learner, then if you start on Wednesday, you don't have to fill anything out. You just come on in, enjoy, welcome. We'll make sure they get to their campus, to their classrooms. But we want them to have that grace period. So from the first day through the 8th, those children are all welcome. Then on the 9th is when we'll start to really kind of see, okay, what does each number look like as far as our learning environments? And we're going to ask that if you're switching to your virtual back to in-person, that you fill out that form and wait for that verification, and they'll tell you when you can start back. That's because we're planning on seats, we're planning on lunch routes, we're planning cafeteria. So we really need to have those counts put into place. But if a student is an in-person learner and they have the allergies or they can't pass their daily screener, it's really simple. They engage immediately in the virtual platform. So they don't have to fill out a form because they still want to come in person. They just that day or for those few days couldn't make it in person. They can still engage online without having a form. Now, if it's vice versa, so it's a little confusing. If you are a virtual learner, a in-person learner, you want to go virtual as a permanent option. It's just not for you. It's not comfortable. You didn't think it was going to be like this. You want your child's not having, good, I would say, easy time adjusting to things, and you want to go virtually, you need to fill out that form, but your student can immediately engage virtually. So fill out the form and engage, no wait time required for anyone who wants to go from in-campus to virtual. So I know it's confusing, and there's a lot of steps. We've laid it out on a website to make sure we can try to explain it to the best of our abilities, and parents will be receiving a lot more information. But the grace period is August 31st through September 8th for all students to be able to come either try out or make sure that they want to stay at our in-person learning environment.
Yeah, and I mean, that makes total sense, because if you're coming in person, you have to make some room, some distance for those kids. So that's cool. But how cool is it that they can already start engaging in virtual if something, prevents them from coming in person? That's really neat.
A lot of people, we put some messaging out that said we want our students to bring their devices. And it's not because they'll be actually learning on that device only, but it's because if they ever have to miss a day and they don't know how to use that platform, if they don't know all the features available on Schoology or Seesaw, and the teacher wants to be able to have that time to walk through it with them. Now, she may show it projected on a board, but if they have their device with them and they can take those steps with them, that's going to stick a little bit longer and help them. So the request for devices wasn't necessarily a mandate or something that is a requirement, but it was really to make sure our students are really comfortable in case they have to miss a day, because we realize that will happen, whether it's a family emergency or you woke up and you had a fever or something and you couldn't pass your screener. And so we want our kids to be really comfortable and familiar with all of our platforms.
And how neat is that? Because, pre-COVID times, if you had a family obligation or something, you just missed school. And now you don't get to miss a beat. You're just back in it, which is so cool.
Now, we know that there will be some families that don't have connectivity or don't have a device at home, because that's why we're opening our doors to begin with. So for those families, they will have a few makeup works scenarios. But I think that's something that we traditionally, like you said, already know we're planning for, and we're to it, so it's nothing new. But we should really have some easy transitions and as little of makeup days this year than I think we've had probably ever as a district. So I think is exciting, and our kiddos are going to latch onto that.
That's awesome. And it's so cool that they can bring their devices and have somebody who's a little bit more versed on it tell them how to use those platforms. So that's really cool. I like that. So will there be any after school programs like the YMCA or Boys and Girls Club?
Yes, we are working with our community partners. In fact, they've been providing virtual learning support programs already for the employees, children of the employees during our virtual start. So they've already been on our campuses, and they will roll over to offer those after school programs afterwards. They have their information on their websites, but yes, they have already been behind the scenes working at our campuses. I saw one of the programs yesterday, and it's really cool because all the students are there engaging in the learning. With their support, we've been able to help train them on all of our platforms, and they can walk through those processes. So they could be additional, guides and tutors for those students as well after school now. Have you seen our public dashboard? I wanted to talk about that if I could.
No.
Okay, so the district on Wednesday unveiled a public COVID-19 dashboard. And I felt this was really important and just a way to be transparent, whether that's with our parents, with our own employees, with the community as a whole. And it works really well with the Bell County Health Department to manage and look at COVID-19 positive cases throughout the district. So we've got a public dashboard. It updates daily. It reflects a total count of cases since March 16th when we first started tracking. And then it also then separates each campus to its own little, you could say, graph or box as any active cases. So it tracks a whole contingent and then active cases. And this is something that I hope really helps parents make that decision. And for us as district leaders, our group will be looking at this to see, where there might be a potential closure threshold that we need to have a discussion with, what we can do to support, maybe what one campus is doing that others aren't, how many kids are back at campuses and how that could reflect the numbers as well. So we wanted to just have that information for ourselves, and there was no reason to not share it with everybody else. So that will be available for us. And I think our parents and the community really will benefit from knowing. We're a large organization. If you look at all of our numbers, we're 55,000 people, and we're a community. Multiple cities are within Killeen ISD and Fort Hood. So this is really important for us to be able to share this. And I hope that our families really start to engage and know that we're here to answer their questions. We want this to be a safe start. We want this to be something that's successful for our students. It's important to provide an education. We're doing it in every way possible that we know how to do it safely. And we want to be transparent about all those things.
And I think the overarching theme is knowledge is power.
Yes.
So I love that you guys are being transparent and having those communications, because, some parents may just be a little hesitant because there's not a lot of information. Yeah,
I'm a mom. I want the information too. I want to know, and I want to see what's happening on my daughter's campus and know and be alerted. And we will communicate if there's a lab confirmed positive from either a staff member or from a student. Every single one will be communicated to those campuses. So the entire campus population will receive that notice, even if they're virtual learners. And that's because if a parent's deciding to move a student to in-person, they should know what's currently going on at the campus so they can make that sound decision. So everyone will be able to get that phone call, the email, the text notification, and so they can be really aware of what's happening throughout the district.
Yeah, so the best advice for parents, what I'm taking from this is communication. Yes. So if you need to talk to your children's teachers, they are there and they have a plan. There's a ton of information out there. So definitely get to know those, especially on a campus level. You guys have some great flow charts, by the way. I was looking at those this morning. Those are amazing. I love the
flow charts are hard to create. Let me just start there and say that a flow chart is an art. So for people who are very, I would say, I'm type A. And so it's very, you want it to spell everything out. And so we have an administrative level flow chart that goes into great detail. And then I said, but no one at home is really going to get this. We need to make a, visual friendly flow chart. And so I have a fantastic team that made it, I think, the best it could be as far as just color coordinated wise and really to show people what our commitment is to students and to families during this time. But flowcharts are an art, I will say that. It's not something that is easily done or put together, but we've got a lot of them right now.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, it helps you understand the information better. I specifically love the one that if there's a positive case, what
Yes.
will happen? Because there's so many different plans and options, which I love that you guys are prepared for that on so many levels. So
We
yeah.
brought, 1,600 employees back on June 1st to work. And so I don't think a lot of people realize how many people have been at work. And even before that was school nutrition and our custodial department and our main administrative team working even in the March, April, and May timeframes. But, 16 to 1,700 employees, we had to know pretty quickly what our response was going to be like. There was not an option to learn as we go. So we really worked hard early on, and I feel like we worked through a lot of the kinks so that we're prepared now when it comes to the 17th and now the 31st to be able to welcome students back. Our goal originally was to the 17th, had to have it all done. And so now that we've even had that little buffer time, delaying it till the 31st, I think we've got a great process in play, and I think we've worked through many of the challenges that came across because every situation is unique.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we're getting close to time here. So is there any other advice that you'd like to give to parents or
I
teachers
do.
or
I want to,
students?
just for the community, not even parents, but buses are rolling on Monday with kiddos. We have not seen school buses probably in about 6 months. So if you see a school bus, I cannot stress enough that school buses are back. They are going to be rolling on the streets on Monday, picking up our precious children. And please, if they have those flashing yellows or reds, please be aware of the lights and stop if you see a bus with a flashing red light on. And maybe be cautious when you're driving through the neighborhoods because kids will be, racing to make sure they make the bus or crossing the road at the last minute. They have not had this opportunity and experience in 6 months. So if I can ask for everybody just to be really cautious of the school zones that will be flashing lights, those will be reduced speeds. Keep off of your cell phones. Know that our buses are rolling on the streets on Monday. They're practicing their routes this week. So you've maybe seen a few of them throughout, but we cannot stress enough that we need safety remains the number one priority. And that's even when it comes for transportation. On our buses, just so you know, there are sanitizer pumps installed on every bus, and buses will be sprayed down in between drop-offs. So that is going to be a really big thing that's new for us this year, which might cause a delay. We know it, but we're doing it because we want to make sure we're doing this safely. So there might be a few delays in addition to just kids learning routes, and we see a kid running, we're not going to leave them. We're going to wait for them. So there might be delays, and these are just the typical first day of school items that we're out there and seeing and noticing. But if I can stress that, I think that would be awesome. And then also first day of school. Kiddos, especially our elementary kids and newcomers, will be escorted individually or in family groups to their classrooms. This will probably cause a line. And so you might see a line and you get turned off and say, oh my gosh, no, I got to keep driving. My kid's going to be a virtual learner. Please don't do that. The line is there because we're trying to make sure those kids get to the classes, get into their, a homeroom teacher. We might show them the cafeteria, the nurse's office. So almost like a very mini tour, just so that they are comfortable. This is their first time in either a high school setting, a middle school setting, or an elementary setting, or new to the district. So there will be some personal escorting going on throughout the district. There will probably be a line. And I don't want people to be afraid or think that we're just overflowing with children. It is because we're really taking a diligent effort to make sure that we are informing our kids so they feel comfortable, because no visitors are allowed, so parents cannot walk students to classes. The handoff will have to happen before the student enters the building this year. And that's just so we limit the amount of exposure potentially in our building and to our students and staff.
That's awesome. That's going to be really exciting. I know it can be jarring to middle schoolers going into high school.
Yes.
Those campuses can look really big.
They are big. They are very big. So it's important to us that we take the time to explain that to our families and to our children. So please don't keep driving if you happen to see that line. Just hang tight with us. Monday will be a new thing for all of us. A lot of procedures are in place that may cause it to just be a little bit longer of a wait in the morning. That drop-off point might take a little bit longer. There are color-coded stickers going out to elementary kids. There's all kinds of things. It's going to be intense, but it's for safety. And that is the number one priority. We help our parents know that we're taking all of these steps and efforts to make sure that we remain a safe and healthy environment for everybody.
Well, that's very exciting. I, for one, am looking forward to all the pictures and all of the things from first day. It's going to be so fun.
We'll have a video out. Don't you worry. It's going to be incredible. So thank you so much for letting us share. We want our parents, please reach out to their campuses. Go on our website, KilleenISD.org. Look around, look at our return to learn plans, get familiar with it. We've sent a lot of messaging. If they've never received a message from the district, we need to know. So please reach out to their campus so we can help them and make sure that there wasn't a small misspelling in their email address, and we can get them all the information needed. This year, it's all about communication. So we are excited to make sure that we're doing our part, especially in this department.
Awesome. Well, I, for one, think you're very good at communication. So
thank you.
You're perfect for this role.
Thank
All right,
you.
Taina, I know you're very busy. Bye, Taina.
Bye.